Hello and welcome our special coverage here on this big news day, because this is the first big battle since the Lok Sabha elections of 2019, and this is the election where we'll know which way the wind is blowing in the states of Haryana and Maharashtra. They will give us a sense as to what lies ahead in this big election year. Welcome to our coverage. Remember, this is an election which we are looking forward to closely, because this is a channel that has a track record of getting polls right. This is your election channel. Rahul Kawal is with me. Rahul, give us a sense of what the election intelligence dashboard has for us today.
This is really exciting, Rajdeep, because we've made some improvements to the election intelligence dashboard from the Lok Sabha elections to now, and I want to take our viewers through some of what we can track in a real-time basis. First, of course, is seat matrix. When counting starts, this map of Maharashtra will fill up in real time. You will see what vote percentages are being registered, whether the seats are going up, whether the seats are going down for the alliance, and this will, and you'll also get a sense of where the victories or defeats are coming from. What you will also get to see is the margin calculator. The margin calculator will calculate for us on a real-time basis, just show this, how many of the seats in Maharashtra and Haryana are won by a margin, are being won by a margin of less than 1,000, less than 5,000, less than 10,000, less than 20,000, or more than 50,000, more than 1 lakh, more than 2 lakh votes. We'll also be able to show you the fate of key candidates in both these states. The fate of key candidates will come live. Who are they fighting against? How many seats are they leading on at this time? And what's the contest looking like? Pick any. Let's, for example, take Randeep Singh Surjewala from Kaithal in Haryana. It will show you how he's doing at that moment. This is dipping into the live election database, and we'll find out in this contest with Leela Lam and with Anil Kumar, how is Randeep Singh Surjewala doing. The thing that is very important is to look at the swing seats. In seats which have changed hands in both elections, in the last two elections, how are the parties doing. In Maharashtra, there are 160 seats. You will see on a real-time basis how the parties are faring on those seats. We'll get to see the stronghold scanner, which will tell you, and for each party, we've got a separate stronghold section for the BJP, the Congress, the Sena, and the NCP. Let's take the NCP, for example. In the Western Maharashtra belt, where most of the NCP strongholds are, out of the 20 strongholds, how many are the NCP Congress alliance retaining, and how many are being won over by the BJP? Are they being routed in their own bastions? Then, of course, there's bellwether seats, which every political pundit likes. Seats, for one reason or the other, tend to stay on the side of the winner. In Maharashtra, there are 7 such seats. We'll tell you how those seats are going. What will be important, Rajdeep, is to look at the strike rate. And the strike rate is crucial because it will show you whether the BJP has a better strike rate than the Sena, whether the Congress has a better strike rate than the NCP. That is quite crucial. So you will get to see how many seats are they winning, and to be able to form the government, how many more seats. It's a bit like cricket, right? You've got a strike rate. This is your current strike rate. Of all the leads that are available at this moment, how many are the BJP and the Sena winning? Of the seats for which trends are still awaited, how many do the BJP Sena need to win? In the Lok Sabha election, Rajdeep, this wasn't of very much use because the BJP won convincingly. In a tight election, when it's like Madhya Pradesh, this is really exciting because you find out what the required strike rate is to be able to cross the majority marks. That is quite interesting. We can obviously do the same kind of strike rate for Haryana as well. We'll know, and this will probably be of some use, we will know of the seats required, how many the BJP and the Congress need to win to be able to cross the majority. What we can also track, if you're a data geek and you love to see data, in the Lok Sabha election, in the Lok Sabha segments, if each of these assembly segments were taken together, added up into Lok Sabha segments, for example, in Gurgaon, of the seats in Gurgaon, how many are being won by the BJP, the Congress, and the BJP and the Congress in Haryana? So that's just a sense of what to expect, Rajdeep, once counting starts.
Fascinating, because I think it is important to look at the micro data. As I said, there are going to be in this election lots of subplots. This election is not just an election which is being fought at the level of the two big parties, but there are lots of subplots, lots of rebels, independents, but importantly, the BJP versus Sena battle in Maharashtra, the battle between the Congress and the JJP for who is the top Jat party. These are all questions that are blowing in the wind. And that is why this election is going to be fascinating. We have a terrific team of people who understand their politics with us. Rahul Srivastav, National Affairs Editor, Javed Ansari, Senior Journalist, Sandeep Shastri, Pro Vice Chancellor, Jain University, and someone who's tracked elections with Lokniti CSTS, the best post-poll surveys you can get. Also Smriti Kopikar, someone who's tracked Maharashtra politics for several decades now, knows the state inside out. Manisha Priyam joins me, and she's gone to the lovely parts of Maharashtra and therefore has gone to the heartland actually in a way in Western Maharashtra. Welcome, good morning Manisha. And of course I'll be joined by my correspondents. Paulomi Saha is joining me from a very special place, Diksha Bhumi in Nagpur. Remember, for all Ambedkarites, this is almost a holy place to be at. And I'm also joined by Manjeet Sehgal from Ambala. But I want to come to you very quickly, Paulomi, first, because you're in Nagpur and the balance of power in Maharashtra has shifted from Mumbai to Nagpur. Whatever happens today, it is the man from Nagpur, Devendra Fadnavis, on whom everyone will be looking closely to. Where is Mr. Fadnavis this morning? Is he in his constituency? Is he at home in Nagpur?
Well, good morning to you, Rajdeep and Rahul. Of course, we're standing outside the counting center here in Nagpur, which is, of course, the counting center where the votes for Mr. Fadnavis's constituency, which is Nagpur Southwest, will be counted starting 8 a.m. Of course, Mr. Fadnavis, of course, the Chief Minister incumbent, is in Mumbai this morning. Last morning, of course, he made a private visit to the Kedarnath shrine with his wife, Mrs. Amruta Fadnavis. He, of course, did not, in fact, we were told by officials on the ground over there that they did not know in Rudraprayag that Mr. Fadnavis is making this personal visit to the Kedarnath shrine. He is in Mumbai. Later in the day, he's expected to be back in Nagpur, is what I have been told by his office. So that is, of course, expected. Yes, like you said, all eyes on Mr. Fadnavis, and if he indeed manages to create history by, of course, taking the BJP-Shiv Sena alliance into a consecutive second term in Maharashtra, which has not happened before. Obviously, he also has to his credit, he has become, the second only Chief Minister of Maharashtra after Vasantrao Naik to have completed a full term in office. So obviously all hopes that are, banking on Mr. Devendra Fadnavis. His figure, of course, for the Shiv Sena BJP alliance in Maharashtra is about 222. He says that we will be crossing the 220 mark. But those who, of course, were part of the election management in Delhi for Maharashtra at the BJP headquarters say, and they've told me that their figure is 212 for the alliance in Maharashtra, and they hope that BJP will get 141 on its own. The BJP, of course, contested on 152 seats on its own, and then, of course, its own allies, because it had 164 of the 288 share. Its own allies, the smaller parties, contested on the lotus symbol itself. So you can say that the BJP contested on 164 seats. So they're hoping that between 212 and Mr. Fadnavis' own figure of 222, they will, of course, sweep back to power in Maharashtra.
Right.
Back to you.
We have to reflect on the emergence of Devendra Fadnavis. We'll spend a lot of time on Haryana after 8 a.m. But if the exit poll numbers are correct, he would have emerged as a pan-Maharashtra leader. He was constantly crippled by the presence of the Shiv Sena, constantly snapping at his heels. But despite that, his emergence in 5 years as a pan-Maharashtra leader is substantial.
It's a remarkable story because, he was the youngest mayor, I think, in the country at the age of 26, became mayor of Nagpur, comes from a family where his father was an MLA. So you could argue that there is an element of dynasty there. His father trained the likes of Nitin Gadkari, was seen very highly, was highly regarded both by the RSS and BJP. But those were different times. Those were times when the BJP was a very marginal party in a sense in Maharashtra politics. Devendra Fadnavis' emergence reflects the rise of the BJP. And the BJP as a cross-class, cross-caste party. A Brahman, a Deshas Brahman, 3.5% of Maharashtra's population, running a state with a 33% Maratha population, unheard of even 10 years ago. But he's done it. And he's done it, I think, by bridging certain divides, the rural-urban divide. So if he's got a Jal Yukta Shivar for rural Maharashtra, a water scheme to try, which was not entirely successful, but at least the attempt was made to, to resolve irrigation issues. In urban Maharashtra, focus on infrastructure. Very good marketing, very good, very media savvy, young, goes to Davos, will also go to Jalgaon, has bridged the divides that existed. And I think there's a lesson there, that if you're young, energetic, and are willing to really put your effort in, today politics rewards you irrespective of what caste you come from. And I think there's a lesson for the old Maratha politicians, including Pawar, who I always thought the moment he came to Delhi, still practiced his politics in the way that he did in Western Maharashtra. Delhi was a very different place. Fadnavis came to Mumbai, and I think because of his Nagpur experience, understands urban politics. And I think that's made him very successful to a younger Maharashtra. I think the big turning point was the 16% reservation he gave the Marathas. It was a tough decision to take. He took it. Reservations have gone over 49%. The court has now validated it.
What's his biggest achievement, Smriti, in your view?
That he's now entrenched the BJP in Maharashtra in a way that it's difficult to dislodge it over the next 2 or 3 elections at least. I think he's been more, I would say he's been more successful for the BJP than he has been for Maharashtra.
And I think, he's been a better political manager than he has been in handling some of the economic issues facing Maharashtra.
No, but most Maharashtra politics, Rajdeep, when you come from the state, most of their politicians are thoroughly corrupt. At least Devendra Fadnavis has the image of being a relatively non-corrupt, untarnished politician. Whenever there's been a controversy, he's acted against his own colleagues who had charges against them, not wanting to protect them just because they were from the BJP.
I think there is certainly that perception that Devendra Fadnavis has acted against some of the many of them were denied tickets. Against whom there was a corruption stain. It worked in his favor in some instances because those were also his rivals within the party. Yeah. So let's be very clear. But I think corruption, incorruptibility, and it's important, compared to what existed before. The fact is the Congress NCP in Maharashtra suffers a huge credibility crisis, I believe, even today, especially among younger Maharashtra, because you've seen over 15, 20 years the blatant abuse of power. I think Fadnavis has been much more conscious of that. I call him, in a way, the Narendra Modi. I know that might not work in his favor at times, but the Narendra Modi of 2007 gradually eliminated all his rivals in Gujarat and built himself as an anti-corruption kind of crusader of politics.
And he emerges, Sandeep Shastri, if he wins this election, as one of the brightest stars in their next rung of politicians. Yep. He and Yogi Adityanath are the 2 men to watch out for in a 15-20 year horizon.
I think one step ahead of Yogi Adityanath for a simple reason. Not only has he consolidated his position in Maharashtra, he has also made it very clear that he is not a threat to anybody else in Delhi. And always credits every success he gets in Maharashtra, not to himself, but to the national leadership of the party. So I think he's playing his cards very well.
But one other big advantage he has over Yogi Adityanath, I think, is that the urban middle class. This country's politics will increasingly play, the urban middle class does matter. And he has consciously, in a sense...
No, but Yogi rouses the Hindutva element of Indian society.
He does. And I don't know, but I don't know whether that works in a pan-India situation. One of the most successful things, and this is where the Modi factor comes in with Fadnavis. About a week ago, he decided on a Sunday morning to go on Marine Drive. And they got all the celebrities, the VIPs, the entire, the high per capita affluent for a walk on Marine Drive, meet the Chief Minister. It's much like what Mr. Modi does, a nice, well-choreographed event where people said, oh, look at this new young guy.
No, what's wrong with that? It's a good thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's his skill.
Rajdeep?
That's his skill. He's been able to bridge the divide. He's not just another... You see, there your point is important. Maharashtra leaders have been tagged not just with corruption but with a sense of not being able to reach out to every constituency. A few have tried but unsuccessful. Remember, between 74 and 2014, 30 years, we had 20 chief ministers.
Well, Rajdeep,
it's been a state with instability. Yes.
I have some reservations to comparing Devendra Fadnavis with Narendra Modi for the reason that the corporator image that you've just spoken about, that's integral and key to who Devendra Fadnavis is. Every local corporation election matters for him. If relief had to be distributed, he could be seen with the sacks right there on the ground. So he's seen as a doer, not just in the sense that he's done urban infrastructure, but people remember him as the person who could count the number of...
We're seeing Bhupinder Hooda speak this morning. First time we're seeing him. Key player in Haryana. There he is. Now, would he have played tennis? He's constantly challenging anybody
No,
who
he
knows
plays
tennis.
lots of sport. Tennis, badminton, very good.
Tennis is
badminton.
his favourite sport.
He plays, no, you see, tennis, unfortunately now, unlike in the past, he loves watching tennis. You might occasionally find him. He can get you centre court Wimbledon tickets.
No, he plays, Rajdeep.
Yeah, no, he was a good but he now plays badminton. His sport in the mornings now is badminton. But you know, he's that, and I don't think viewers know this. Bhupinder Singh Hooda's father was in the Constituent Assembly of 1947. And he was among those who drafted the Constitution. And I used to meet him in Parliament. He lived, I think, till 102. And he used to come to Parliament in the 1990s. Old man, I think, Ranbir Singh Hooda was his name. R.S. Hooda, I remember. He used to sit in the quietly observing, even at 95, 96, he used to come to Parliament. So this is an old Congress family. And Bhupinder Singh Hooda, at a personal level, is a very gracious man. Great host. Great host. And he actually once told me a great story, which is a life story for people. He was in a boat. They were going down the Ganga. The boat toppled. And Bhupinder Singh Hooda was under the water for a very long time. He almost died.
He clung on to a branch.
He clung on to a branch and he told me, I asked him, where do you get your fighting spirit? He said, I've seen death. Once I've seen death.
Did he know how to swim or not at that time?
I don't know whether he said it was a near-death experience. He struggled under the water. Javed may know the longer
This was
story.
in Western UP. He almost drowned, and he clung on to a branch, and then some of the villagers came and rescued him. Had to be admitted. The doctors even at GB Pant had given him. This was before he became Chief Minister for the first time.
So this is his second life. So like a cat who's lived 9 lives, he's there. But Manisha, you wanted to make a point about Devendra Fadnavis, who I think Rahul is right. He's going to be one of the fascinating politicians of the future.
Three things that are very unique about him. One, I've already said, he's seen as the man who's a doer. The image of the urban corporator is something that he does not want to put behind. Second, he carries a coalition of extremes. Remember, you spoke about the Dhangad caste, that Madhav formula that you spoke about. Now, look at the fact. The Madhav
formula, for our viewers, is a formula that the BJP had in the 1980s in Maharashtra to attract the OBCs, primarily the Malis, the Dhangars, and the Banjaris, 3 prominent castes of Maharashtra. So, MA for Mali, D for the Dhangars, the shepherd community of Maharashtra, and fascinating people. The best food you want in Maharashtra, you go to the Dhangar house. And V, which is Vanzari. But go ahead.
So
Gopinath Munde Vanzari.
The one fact that we are not talking about, that he did the Maratha reservation despite having a Dhangad vote base. And today in Baramati, which is the key fight between the battleground of the Pawars, the BJP has a Dhangad, which is protesting against the Maratha reservation.
Sure.
So to carry a coalition of extremes, where you do a reservation for Marathas, but you still have the Dhangads on your side, I think that's just a minute. So that's extremely important. The urban image, the rural coalition of extremes, that's extremely important. And in Mumbai, he's also seen a man who's the darling of the film industry. Remember, Shahina NC is always by his side. So I would see that here's a man who's seen as...
I'm not going to say whether being the darling of the film industry matters at all. I refuse to accept that. But I think what he's done, he's been able to convince the middle class that I'm trying. Now, we don't know how much of that has actually worked on the ground. There's an industrial slowdown in Maharashtra, but he's certainly given the impression that he's trying his best. But yes, Rahul, is he seen as a leader of the future?
See, I want to make a quick point on building on what Rahul had said about the corruption point. You see, a large number of leaders in Maharashtra, their role model was Sharad Pawar. Thoda dhanda, thoda rajniti. And primarily because they all had a baggage. Fadnavis, perhaps, see, even Nitin Gadkari got into trouble over the Purti
They were seen as political entrepreneurs.
They were entrepreneurs. And that's where lies the bigger problem for Congress as well as the NCP, that a lot of dominant Maratha politicians with business interests, to protect their economics and their politics, they have migrated this time around to the BJP. That's where lies the problem, that Fadnavis perhaps is a change, and since he has lesser baggage of that kind, it promises BJP a longer run of a leader who can be around.
Okay. Rajiv, I think these are valuable. Yes, very good.
There was one person in the Congress, Prithviraj Chauhan. He didn't carry any such stint, but he didn't have even half the political heft that Fadnavis
I think you make an important point again, because that's the difference. Contrast that for me, Smriti. You know, Prithviraj Chauhan had 4 years in office, and yet was unable to establish himself in Maharashtra. Fadnavis has had 5 and has established himself completely. Prithviraj Chavan, great education, Berkeley educated, went abroad, very tuned with urban politics also in a way, very far-sighted, also with a good image. Why couldn't he do what Fadnavis did? Is it the difference between the Congress and the BJP? The BJP empowered Fadnavis, the Congress tried to ensure that Prithviraj Chavan was never even allowed to be a state leader.
There are 3-4 points here. Mr. Prithviraj Chavan didn't carry a taint. In fact, he was known as Mr. Clean in Bombay, and that's in Mumbai, and that's a very difficult tag to earn. But he did that by virtually not taking any decisions, not allowing things to happen. So if you don't do any work, you're not going to end up with any kind of taint. That's number one. The difference between Prithviraj Chavan and Devendra Fadnavis is that Fadnavis is unafraid to take decisions, but he has Teflon coated himself and his government to the extent that the taint will never reach him. Mr. Prakash Mehta, housing, corruption scandal,
And
it
close
doesn't
to him,
reach.
and someone very close to
him.
Fadnavis.
But the taint does not reach the 6th floor of Mantralaya, it does not reach the Varsha bungalow. That is number one. Number two, I think for traditionally, chief ministers in Maharashtra have had to bolster their parties by way of resources. In a way, Fadnavis has been liberated from that because there is Piyush Goyal with equally deep or deeper connections into the Mumbai financing sector, who can raise that, and therefore, in a way, Mr. Fadnavis is kind of liberated from having to take some of those compromised decisions.
Very good point. And when you go to the 6th floor of Mantralaya, it is a world apart from where I used to go in the early 90s. Now it's very high-tech, and you go to this war room where they are actually doing real-time documentation of how the metro project is going, and lots of 20, 25-year-olds all over you, all America educated, they're running around Mantralaya. He's got his fixed bureaucrats, 5 or 6 of them, who he has put in charge in key positions to actually get what he claims Maharashtra working again. So Fadnavis has been very corporatized also in the way he's done it.
I have to add a third point here. Chief ministers in Maharashtra knew what they had to do. Fadnavis is different because he knows his outcomes and he puts those outcomes on the table for his team. He works with a very close team. He puts those outcomes on the table and tells them, deliver or die. Not in those many words, but virtually.
That is where the Modi factor comes. So I think in a way, Fadnavis is a combination of what Modi stands for in some respects, but in a more urbanized way, which makes him a fascinating politician to track at the moment. Yes, Javed, very quickly, because I want to go to Manjeet.
A part of his success is also due to the fact that he's been empowered. Modi and Shah have allowed him, shielded him, insulated him from the kind of pressures. Prithviraj Chavan never enjoyed that kind of insisted support, and he always had to look over his shoulder. The NCP was breathing down.
Sure, and therefore you got to give BJP credit for having given Fadnavis the space where today he is Neta number 1. Let's go to the other state. Manjeet Sehgal has been waiting for a while from Ambala. Good morning, Manjeet. Ye pehle mujhe batao. I am fascinated by breakfast in different states. Ambala mein breakfast ke liye kya milta hai? What's the best breakfast? Which is the best dhaba to go to in Ambala? Baki politics baad mein.
Good morning, Rajdeep, and good morning, Rahul. Well, we are talking about the breakfast. Puran Singh's dhaba is very famous in Ambala, Kanta, Ambala city also. These dhabas are known for their breakfast, the pranthas in particular. So everybody who's going to New Delhi stops here for the delicious pranthas, Rajdeep. And so far as the Ambala politics is concerned, behind me is the SD College, where the counting will start at 8 o'clock. Remember, this is a 100-year-old college. Late Sushma Swaraj also studied here, and the BJP's candidate Anil Vij also studied here, and he started his student politics from here. He contested his first election in 1991 when Sushma Swaraj had vacated this seat. So Anil Vij is now contesting his 7th election. He has won 5 elections and 2 as independent. He is pitted with Venugopal of Congress, who is a first-timer. But this election seems to be in favor of BJP here, as this is a pocket borough of BJP, and
In fact, one of the interesting factors, and we're going to look at that
BJP
closely
candidate.
in the case of Haryana. There are parts of Haryana which are seen as BJP strongholds, where the BJP is dominant, and Ambala is one of them. But as you come to what they call the GT road, that's where the Congress is hoping to make its comeback, in areas like Sonepat, in areas like Rohtak, which is a traditional Congress bastion. You're going to perhaps see a very split Haryana map. Thanks very much, Manjeet, for joining us. And it's that split Haryana map that's probably going to keep us really engaged in this election today. This could go down to the wire in Haryana. At least if the India Today Axis My India poll is right, Haryana could be the state to watch today. Let's take a break. Plenty more to talk about. Two big states.